Hello lovely friends. I finally got my hands on a bottle of Shalimar. So I've been looking out for a bottle on eBay. This is actually the Eau de Toilette because I had read a lot about the original EDP being a little bit harsher, a little bit more smoky. A lot of people say it smells like burning plastic on their skin. So I think that one might be pushing a little bit too far into the old school hardcore vintage smell for me personally, but I did want to have a sniff of one of the Shalimars, and randomly I haven't been able to smell them in store thanks to Selfridges Guerlain counter just kind of disappearing. Very happily I managed to snap this up in an auction for about £35 I think. So this is a little 30ml bottle of the Eau de Toilette, and this is from 1999. This bottle, I had a look at the little batch code on the bottom. And so this one is a vintage. I can't really talk about the modern version, although from the reviews on Fragrantica, I don't think it's changed hugely. But this was really interesting. So part of the reason I actually wanted to try this, apart from the fact that obviously it's just a perfume that I don't really know much about and I'm interested in learning about the scents of things, is because it's compared to something that I recently got, or at least the thing I recently got is compared a lot to Shalimar, to a lot of the Shalimars, just generally that scent profile. And because the one I've got is so affordable, I thought this would be really interesting to compare them. So according to Fragrantica, and I had a look on the Shalimar website as well, but unfortunately they don't really have an exhaustive list of notes of what's in this perfume. Fragrantica says that this is bergamot, floral notes, iris, rose, jasmine, vanilla and tonka bean. Now, I am absolutely sure that's not all that's in this perfume, because this smells to me like the notes of the original Shalimar. It smells smoky, it smells a little bit leathery, it's very citrusy. It's got a clean powdery vibe, like a baby powder, clean powdery vibe. And then there's a very light vanilla in the base. The more it dries down, the more creamy it gets. So if I just read out the actual Shalimar Eau de Parfum notes, then I think that gives you a better idea of what this smells like. But I imagine this one's much lighter, a little bit softer, and apparently on Fragrantica it says it's a little bit kind of smoother, less harsh. So top notes of the original Shalimar EDP are citrus, bergamot, lemon, cedar and mandarin orange. Middle notes of iris, patchouli, vetiver, jasmine and rose. The base notes of vanilla, incense, leather, opopanox, civet, sandalwood, tonka bean and musk. So definitely this has a real woodiness. It's got a real, when you first spray it, it's very leathery and incensey. It's really strong in those, and it's got a slightly kind of resinous, balsamic-y kind of smell to it. But it's also got a very fizzy, clean, powdery citrus in it. And fizzy is the word I'd use because I think that's the same with the other one I'm going to talk about in a minute. This is definitely got a fizzy, effervescent vibe to it, which is veering towards, without actually landing there because I don't like such perfumes, this is veering towards the kind of a citrusy, sweet laundry detergent powder. It's that kind of cleanliness, you know. But the incense leathery kind of smell stays the whole way through, but it kind of softens up, and then you get a little bit more of the vanilla. There's definitely like woods in here. That is definitely, it's not massively musky, so maybe that's one of the big differences here. And I'm not sure that there's patchouli in this, but there's definitely something smoky and something woody. So yeah, I feel like bergamot, floral notes, iris, rose, jasmine, vanilla and tonka bean is not at all the whole story for the Shalimar Eau de Toilette. I think you'd be a bit shocked if that's all you were expecting, and then you smelt this perfume. It's like a cleanly laundered lady wearing a citrus perfume and a brand new leather jacket, if that's what it smells like. So the thing that I had that this is compared to, and I do love this bottle, I love this bottle too, is Chantilly by Dana. So this one I got a little while ago, and this one I pretty much said the same thing about. I was like, okay, it's very citrusy. It's got a slightly unusual vanillic dry down. It smells like a clean, like kind of clean lady baby powdery, not even baby powder, but some kind of talcum powder, with a lot of citrus, a bit of vanilla, and there is a slight smokiness going on here as well. But this one I think was about £12 or £15 for this big 100ml bottle. Also a really cool bottle, I think. So the notes in Chantilly, which I feel now is probably supposed to smell like Shalimar, right? I imagine this is in some way some kind of dupe. I think it's unlikely it came out before Shalimar, but I might be wrong. So this, it doesn't have top, middle and base, but this has citruses, benzoin, vanilla, leather, sandalwood, bergamot, spicy notes, ylang ylang, musk, oak moss, neroli, jasmine, cloves, orange blossom, tonka bean, rose and fruity notes. And I'm here to say I prefer this one to Shalimar. Although Shalimar Eau de Toilette, in the very deep dry down, by which point, to be honest, it's got kind of quite light. It's not got the massive scent bubble that I was expecting from like a vintage perfume. This is much softer. This does get maybe slightly, Shalimar gets slightly more creamy, slightly more vanillic, slightly more creamy. But I would not describe it as just a vanilla perfume, if you see what I mean. There's like way more going on there, but it's much smokier. So Chantilly, it's slightly brighter, slightly fresher, not quite as creamy, but it's got that same citrus baby powder, slight smoky, sweet, slightly vanillic feel to it. I think it keeps more of that kind of fizzy, citrusy smell. So like I said, it's a bit brighter. It's definitely, it's an easier wear, I think is what I would say about Chantilly compared to Shalimar. It's just, it's way less leathery and less incensey, less smoky, less woody. But it's so similar. It just doesn't have that burning rubber kind of smell that Shalimar has. That's what I'd say is the biggest difference here. So especially because Shalimar is so strong in that. It's such a kind of strong, smoky, slightly weird smell when you first spray it. It gets much nicer as it dries down. Chantilly, I think, it definitely transitions a bit because it's very, very lemony when you first spray it, very citrusy. But it ends up just smelling like a really lovely kind of, cool auntie kind of smell, It's got that slight vintage tone, but it's, it's powdery and it's clean and it's fresh, but it's sweetened. So yeah, I think personally, I'm going to keep Chantilly and I'm going to pass Shalimar on because I don't think I would reach for it over Chantilly, which is mad because, I know that Shalimar is a very lusted after perfume and a very beloved perfume, but I think Chantilly is just a much easier reach for me, and I'm sure there's people who love this who would appreciate it more than I do. There's no point in me keeping it in my collection if I'm not going to wear it. But yeah, I would say that if you're interested in Shalimar, but you are on a budget, Chantilly is an excellent alternative. It's gonna really give you such a similar experience wearing it. I really do think it's a really good alternative. So this is the one personally I would go for, and this is the one I will be keeping.